Hello, my name is uzomadunkwu and I'm a visual development artist based in Lagos, Nigeria. I've worked for top studios and I would love to share my insights on how I go about designing exceptional black characters. This video is a bonus content to the video about designing exceptional male black characters. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. Let's get right into it. So back to the original character. If you watched the previous video, you remember this character. So I just went and was like kind of trying to get a feel for the character by exploring poses, different poses. This particular pose was drawn by heart, but I was kind of thinking about the story, right? If he's someone that is like pretty much a killer, he's more like a hitman sent from the underworld. I was just thinking about how fierce this guy would like really be in battle. So he's holding out his machete and is about to attack someone. And he's like really aggressive and ferocious while fighting. So I was just thinking about all of that while doing this drawing. There was no reference in particular for this particular sketch. There was no reference. I kind of drew this whole thing by heart. The references you see on the left side of the screen are just like guides, to kind of remind me of the original design and to also see if I could kind of push the idea. As you can see, I'm kind of like switching the hands, to be sure of what works and what doesn't. I was clearly not using reference. Most times when I don't use reference, I kind of have this issue where I'm constantly going back and forth, trying to understand, trying to figure out the best pose. If you were using reference, if you're working on an actual pipeline, it's usually advisable to use reference because it saves you a lot of time. But for this particular sketch, I wasn't using any reference, so I spent a lot of time going back and forth, trying things out, even with the anatomy as well. Like I was also trying to figure out the anatomy as I was going, so it was really challenging. So then I tried another pose. I was just thinking about, okay, what if this guy is about to wear the mask? Remember the mask that's tucked into his wrapper. So I was just thinking, okay, what if this guy is about to wear the mask and he's just staring at the mask? It's almost like this is your first mission to go kill people, and he's never done this before, so he's also thinking about it as well. And he's just like in that moment, holding the mask and having one last look at it before he embarks on this mission to slay 1,000 people, which is a very tall order. So yeah, it's that responsibility that comes with it, and he's just looking at it and he's about to put it on. So on the with respect to references, I don't know if you've noticed that I kind of I kind of reworked the scarification on his right arm, because I was just thinking about it, like the scarification wasn't well defined, so I had to go find proper reference. And another reference, which is the one with the lady, the one with the lady in black and white. So I was just thinking about how I could use that idea to kind of refine the scarification so that it looks more unique and a little bit more meaningful. So I came up with that idea based on the reference. At this point, I hadn't done anything yet to correct or refine the original design. We'll get to that part, but at this point I was just thinking of how I could make the whole thing look better. So now I went back to the original pose and was thinking, okay, how about if we give him like this, based on the reference on the left, how about if we give him like this body armor? So he's wearing like this body armor that's kind of like woven out of like raffia, the brown one. And so he's kind of wearing that, and then on his arm he has like a wrapped cloth that is tied to his arm, and then there's this like this thing that looks like it's actually the vertebrae of a skeleton, a human skeleton that he's wearing on his hand, on his arm, his lower arm. I thought the idea was really cool, like the reference, so I just kind of took all of that. I will do a different video about how I go about sourcing references, but some of these references are not necessarily African. Like the one with the body armor, I think it was, the idea came probably from Asia or something like that. So yeah, but I mean, at the end of the day, we're creating a character and we're trying to do something unique. Not all ideas will come out of Africa. It could be something fresh from a different continent, as long as it doesn't like stick out like a sore thumb. I think every fresh idea is welcome. So at this point, I was also looking at, I went back to the original design and was kind of like making the refinement onto that design. I worked out the scarification, worked out his armor, the one on his arm and the one on his chest. Now I went back to see, okay, you know what, how about if we could like try to make more poses. Like I was thinking about more poses at this point, so I came up with this idea of him folding his arm and just kind of looking away. And it wasn't a bad idea. It took me some time to refine. As always, like I always, it's very iterative, the process. So I always go back and forth, and and the way I draw, I usually do like a lot of Ctrl Z's, as you've noticed. There's lots of Ctrl Z's, so but it's something I'm already used to. It's not the best way to draw. It's certainly more like a flaw of mine that I have, but it's something I'm already used to. Because when I started out, I started out drawing with digitally. I started drawing with stylus tablets, so there was like this hand-eye coordination thing that I had to deal with. So it made me kind of get used to the whole idea of Ctrl Z. So this was another sketch that I kind of failed at executing. I was just thinking about how, what if like head rotations, what if the character is looking up, looking upwards. So I explored this idea as far as I could go, even though I wasn't really feeling it, but I mean, it was worth my time. It also helped me to understand the forms, the shape of the head properly. So then I tried another one. At this point, I was thinking about, okay, what if this guy he has a human component to him, right? He's not just a ruthless killer from the depths of the underworld. He's not just doing it to also get his life back, but he's thinking about his family as well, So maybe he has a family that he kind of left behind, and the whole idea of making the Faustian bargain was to come back to Earth and maybe redeem his family or something like that, so, or to give his family some sort of closure. So him going about killing people, he goes about killing people, but then there's this human side to him, right? So maybe at this point he's like shock, or he's in some sort of shock, or he's like a deer in headlights, just looking at maybe a family member or something like that, and then just kind of realizing how maybe it's a point of inflection, or a moment of inflection, or a moment of self-reflection, looking at how far he has come as a killer, and just kind of wondering if it was the right path in the first place. It's always important to think about story when designing characters, so I'm always thinking about these things as I'm drawing. It helps to make the drawing more believable, and it makes me feel connected to the character, sort of. So at this point, I went back, like I've been going back and forth with multiple drawings. These are 4 drawings at the same time, and just kind of at this point I was thinking about adding some color. I added some color, but Then again, I thought, you know what, if I was going to color this thing, it would take me like, it would take a long time to have to to color everything, all 4 sketches. So I just decided to switch it up to black and white, and you know, still going back and forth with all the corrections, back and forth with the line work corrections and all of that. Sometimes I take some time away, I take some breaks, maybe I take like an hour or so, or maybe even take a break for the day, and then the next day I come back and see something different. You know, I just kept refining and refining. Sometimes you close the software and you just can't help yourself. You see something after closing the software, and then you open it again to make corrections and all that. So I added like highlights. I added highlights to help to sell the moments of the sketch. So the highlights also help for dimensionality as well. It's similar to the highlights that I applied on the original sketch, the colored one on the left. There's some blood stains on his machete. So there's also something I need to point out, which is the shape design. It's based off of a circle plus a square. So the circle component is like his skull. If you look at his skull, is rounded, his mask is rounded, and that kind of, you know, plays on the idea of him being a shapeshifter. You know, he blends in and people may not like easily notice him, but then at the same time he's like this cold-hearted killer, which is where the square comes in. You know, he's like really stern. If you look at his chin line is like really straight and square. His shoulders are also square, his deltoid square as well. So yeah, that's the whole idea of the shape design. And that's it. If you have any topic that you would like me to make a video about, please leave it in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I'll definitely see you on the next one.